Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Life is Limitless podcast. This is episode number 5, and today we have a buddy. His name is Darcy Travis-Bear, a member of the Prince Albert Police Service, and has been about 21 years of completed years of service in March here. So that's been a good career already, buddy, already. So Darcy, if you'd like to share what you have to share next, and then we can just go on with what we're here to share about today, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite, buddy. And my 21 years experience, it just flies by, it seems go. And I think back to like some of what the veterans used to say, like you get hired and there's all levels of service telling you, write stuff down, buddy, keep a journal, take pictures, write it down, important dates and whatnot. So it's good. But I'll start off by prefacing that although I'm a member of the Prince Albert Police Service, the views I'm expressing today are only mine and mine alone. My thoughts, views, and opinions aren't that of the Prince Albert Police Service. So just so when we get into some of the details of what we're here to share today. So thank you for the invite, buddy. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. I've been looking forward to this. I initially chatted with you guys. This was months ago when I had the idea of wanting to get into podcasts, and I knew just from your experience and the short conversations we shared over the years together that I think it would be beneficial for a lot of folks to be able to hear some of your journeys and some of your knowledge, some of your experiences, and some of those topics, just so people know right off the bat, are going to be included with some PTSD, some intergenerational trauma, right? Maybe some addictions, sobriety. So I do just want to kind of preference everyone who is going to be listening to this episode. There might be some explicit content. So I just want to give people a fair warning. It will be on the descriptions as well, too, wherever we get a chance to post it. But just want to take care of whoever gets a chance to listen to this episode. And I believe there's going to be a lot of value in our conversation today. So Darcy, how do you want to start this, buddy? Where do you want to go first with everything? I know we got quite a few topics that we could chat about here, but one of the ones that was on the top of your mind, of course, is your PTSD, right? Or past PTSD and some of the processes that you had to go through in order to be where you're at now.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a good place to start. We can start with the PTSD portion of, just in regards to post-traumatic stress alone. It's kind of a taboo topic, and it's finally starting to reach places within the policing world and first responder world to a place where you can actually be open about it. You can be honest about it. You can actually share your feelings with your fellow brother and sisters, and not feel like you're judged, and not feel like you have to feel shame and fear alone anymore. So the post-traumatic stress disorder and the post-traumatic stress injuries that I've sustained through 21 years, I guess at the time when I realized the injury would have been 16 years-ish of service. I'm going to start by saying you don't know what you don't know. And through my journey and processes of understanding, peeling back the layers of the injuries themselves, each one is like such a powerful revelation to what a person is susceptible to in first responding, especially police. Because at the end of the day, people don't call you when they're having a good day. People don't call the police when they're like, hey, let's just have a coffee and a bullshit and talk about life and get to know you and tell you how we are on a good day. It's like, well, today my baby girl is suicidal and she's cutting herself and I need help. Or my brother-in-law is in the basement, he's just going through a divorce and he's talking about hanging himself, or any of the other traumatic everyday events that police are exposed to. So the injuries themselves for me, I think for the treatment purposes that I went through and had to go through WCB Workmen's Compensation Board, the company that they use, that they third party it to is CBI in Saskatoon. Great company. Their ideologies work, their plans work, and their treatments work. The psychologists there and the psychiatrists that work for CBI, just give them a little shout out that I don't know if I'd be where I am if I didn't didn't get the level of involvement and commitment from them as I did at the time when I needed it the most. So the injuries themselves, to kind of give a little bit of context, when I say you don't know what you don't know, what I mean by that is, you think you're just going for a drink, you think you're just going for, wings with the boys, you think you're just going for a football party with your buddies, you think you're just, all these things start to add up to, well, you're now the last guy standing at the table. You're the last guy that keeps wanting to go to the bar after the event or the party, or want to keep drinking and want to keep... What I didn't know, and back to my opening, was when you don't know what you don't know that you're trying to numb, escape, and make things not be as bad as they are. And for me, when the peeling back of the layers, I didn't understand how many levels of injuries that I had intertwined to make the perfect storm of traumatic events, with up to and including the injuries I sustained as a police officer. So the multiple injuries I speak of are like, I say simple things because in policing world it could be something simple that, for lack of a better term, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Yeah. So the straw that broke my back, so to speak, was bullshitting in the report room at the police service with some junior members who are struggling with, they just came from a really, really bad call. The bad call was a multiple suicide. And having to deal with, how do you deal with a dead body? When you how do you prepare yourself? What do you mentally prepare yourself for? And how do you even begin to fathom telling their family and doing that next of kin notification and things like that? Like, I wasn't exposed to the trauma that night. I wasn't exposed to the multiple suicide. I was at a different call that needed other officers across the city, and then you come back to the report room and you're like, how was that? You okay? Is everything all right? Like, that sounded like a bad one. Like, do you want to talk about it? And so the junior members are like, well, how do you even begin to unravel this? Like, what do you do with it? Like, and I jokingly at the time told them what the senior members previous to me had told me. Well, mentally prepare yourself by going to find yourself a bottle to dive into until you can fall asleep, and then do it on repeat until you can make them go away. They eventually go away, is what I was told by multiple senior members to me. Knowing what I know now, it's just a recipe for disaster. It just prolongs the trauma. It just prolongs the lack of treatment and the lack of knowledge and understanding of what you're not ready to deal with. And I will say, you're never ready to deal with some of the stuff that you're exposed to in the first responder world. You just find a way to get through it. You find a way to deal with it. But the treatments after the fact, I think we're almost to the point where we can say we're in a better place. We're still learning. There's years of research going into it. I've attended lots of conferences for PTSD, through my job, through my role now as the Prince Edward Police Association president, president of our union. We attend things like SASC-fed labor relations meetings, spring and fall. We attend CIPCERT, which is another mental health. I think they're an app and a website now, but they're geared more towards first responders, and it's pretty much free. Their research, if you're a first responder and you have proof, they give you everything. I did temporarily reach out for that in the midst of my PTSI, in the middle of it, while I was waiting for WCB to catch up.
Yep.
And the amount of resources on that website, it's CIPSRT, CIPCERT. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's short for, or what the actual what it stands for right now. But the research on there is phenomenal. The therapists on there are phenomenal. Everything that you can read, you can text if you want, if that you're more comfortable with that, with texting with somebody on the fly. It's all been phenomenal. At the time, I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't understand what any of it meant, because all you know is that you can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Your hands shake uncontrollably at times. Your hands start sweating uncontrollably at times. You wanna fight and then cry at the same time.
Yep.
The overwhelming amount of emotion that you get when you're going through the symptoms of a PTSI, post traumatic stress injury. There's a multitude of symptoms that you get that until you actually sit down with the therapist will tell you what to experience and what to expect. So that night, when talking about the hardest and the worst stuff you've ever seen with the junior members, it was a trigger, and I
Yeah.
wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mentally prepared. I wasn't psychologically prepared. I wasn't emotionally prepared to try to decipher some of the worst things that I'd ever seen. And we'd have talked about it before. Like, you talked about it at the lunch table. You talked about it after the shitty call. You talked about it in trying to find somebody to relate to, because it's such a horrible topic to try to find someone to relate to. That, hey, we were just there together. Let's unravel this. Let's unwrap this, man. Let's talk about it. So, but that
Can
trigger
I?
sent me first.
I just
Yeah,
want
no,
to
go
chime
ahead.
in. That's an absolute beautiful thing that you guys, you do walk through these tough journeys together, truly, with everything that goes on in a day-to-day basis. And like you said, so powerful off the start of the conversation, unfortunately, you're getting a lot of calls to come to people's worst parts of their day, basically, right? And worst parts of sometimes their years, sometimes their life. But it is incredible just to kind of chime in that you guys have that support system between each other as much as possible. But it's also an absolute beautiful thing that the younger guys now have somebody like yourself leading the example, going through the steps, talking to some folks, trying to live your best life and unpacking the things that you've had to unpack. I know quite a few people on the force, of course, in Prince Albert, Saskatoon, different places. And that's an incredible asset that they have, is somebody like yourself to lead by example. So good on you for that, man. I appreciate that. A lot of the people, that are coming up have that with you. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And actually, I guess to go back to the association comment,
Hmm.
at the tail end of my treatments, which the incident occurred in April of 2021, and I had finished my treatments in February of 2022 and returned back to work
Hmm.
through WCB. My whole ideology of returning back to the policing world was, how can I use this, my experience, as an example for other members who may be struggling with similar issues, like not the same, like just like anything else with regards to the grounds that you build when you're going to a call.
Yep.
Well, what you take from it mentally and emotionally are going to be very different. We're all going
Yeah.
to experience it different. We're all going to feel it different. We're all going to document it different in our brains and in our hearts.
Hmm.
So that's what actually got me back to, I think I have something to give back. I think I have something to offer to the future of Prince Albert Police Service and the association. So when I finished my treatments and I was back to full duty, full uniforms, I was active on the street again, getting back into the swing of things of calls and some of the hard ones to deal with. My big step was, how do I give this back? Because the PTSD is still fairly new at the time in 2021, going into 2022. WCB didn't really have, we were kind of breaking ground when they were treating me.
Hmm.
There's a few through the RCMP, but the RCMP have their own system, their own federal system that they rely on. So, how do I give back? How do I give back to the members that feel lost and don't understand? Like, I'm not sleeping at night.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty bold, symptom. That's a pretty recognizable symptom, because you can see it in, one, their performance. Two, you could see it in their eyes when they show up to work. Oh, that guy didn't have a good night.
Hmm.
You kind of just see it, the little details here and there, and recognize them in my own struggles on the daily. Of, oh man, I haven't had more than 20 minutes of straight continuous sleep in about 48 hours, and I feel
Hmm.
it. The emotions, everything's irrational. Everyone's mad. Everyone's, you know what I mean. Like, you just start reacting to stupid shit, and it feels like everything is insurmountable. The world is just coming down around you.
Yeah.
So, how do I get back to start trying to be a part of that? The solution rather than reacting to the problem. How do I become that?
Yeah, which
So
you're
in
you're
talking
not
about
one to project. You're not one to project. You're one to assist, right? Project your situation onto
yeah,
others. You're one to assist, which is a beautiful thing
yeah.
too. Yeah.
So because through some of the treatments, when you unravel some of the issues that come out of PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
the ultimate thing that I learned about myself was that I am by nature a helper. I am by nature a giver, an empath, and want to give all that back and want to be able to contribute to whatever I'm a part of, whatever team I'm part of, whatever situation, the company that I work for. It's in me to give. So now, how do I use that with regards to? Okay, you've been through the treatments, you've kind of broken the path, you've kind of see through it, and now how do I show them you can get back on your feet? You can hit rock bottom, so to speak, and still stand up, and still do this job, and still wear it proud, and
Yep.
be able to say, I was at the depths of hell, for lack of a better term, and I still was able to carry myself through it and get through it. How do I give that example to other officers to know you're not alone? You don't have to go through this by yourself, buddy, and you don't have to sustain the injury and not tell anybody, because I know from experience it's hard to tell your partner specifics, because I think we discussed it before about re-traumatizing people.
Yep. Yep.
Because when you get into the specifics of what you see on the daily, the dead body one was a big one, because prior to policing, for me at least, the only dead body I've ever seen is in a coffin at a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
The dead bodies you see in policing or first responding, they look nothing like that. They're not even close. It's a lot of graphic detail with regards to how they left. If it's a suicide, a lot of graphic detail if they're left in the condition of like a murder or a homicide. And probably the worst ones for me would have been the car accident ones. Those ones were tough because logically they don't even make sense. Like what body parts in places they shouldn't be, body parts in a place that like how did it even get in there? Like, things like that. And then the one that's near and dear to me, the hardest one, would be telling somebody that is going to die and they're dying in your arms, that it's going to be okay. Because you have to give them that reassurance in their last, you don't want them to feel alone in their dying breaths, even though whatever brought them to that point is it's inevitable. They're going to die. You know it. They probably know it, but trying to offer that last reassurance on their way out is probably one of the hardest things that I've had to do in my career.
That's understandable. Giving somebody peace in their final moments, I think would challenge any human being. But, then it comes full circle. Well, thankfully you're an empath. Thankfully you're the giver that you are. Thankfully you're the person that you are, because, there's a part of you that wants to give this person their final piece. And that's a beautiful thing too. It would be tough for, I would say, 99% people to be able to do that. And I know that would stay with somebody for a long time. I could understand that. And PTSD, one of the reasons why I was definitely so excited to chat with you about this is because I've never lived that side of things. Of course, law enforcement, seeing eyes through a law enforcement officer. But like I said, I've known quite a few folks over the years and stuff like that. I've had conversations. I understand, on a day-to-day basis that you have calls that you have to go to that can wear you down, that can be heavy, and that you have to show up to be your best at the end of the day for whoever you come home to, for whoever you go to the next call for. And I think it's, underappreciated a lot of times, unfortunately, in life. I used to be a person, if I can be fully transparent with whoever listens to this, I used to not get along with police officers. I don't know what it was. But, as soon as I started realizing that I'm the one making these mistakes, I'm the one, being whatever I'm doing, it's the folks who are coming to the calls, wherever I was associated, wherever I was a part of, they're reacting to whatever I'm causing, and they're reacting to whatever mindset I have. Soon as I stopped doing stupid stuff, or tried to as much as possible, well, I started becoming friends with a lot of officers. And then I seen a different perspective on the things that they have to go through. And then my appreciation, my respect shot through the roof, because I never seen it through their lenses, your lenses, right? And once a person does that and understands the things that a person might have to go to on a day-to-day basis, I think a lot more appreciation, a lot more love, a lot more respect for the walks and the journeys that you guys have to go through, ladies and, men. It's in the same boat too. Like, I have quite a few buddies who are jail guards, pen guards, and a lot of the times there is very similar circumstances, right? Uniforms, you go through tough environments, you have tough situations in your lives. And you know what? There used to be such a mindset behind bottle it up, find a way to cope, on your own time with a bottle maybe. And, of course, I know there's still probably that kind of that mindset here and there, maybe for folks that have just kind of got brought up by that as well too, and kind of carried on those traditions. But to be able to open up, to be able to help your fellow officer, your fellow guard, your fellow, staff member is a great thing, and it's definitely needed, because hostility, anger, all that kind of stuff can project onto other people, which when you get that projected onto you, then you want to project it onto somebody else, and then it goes down the line. But when you're telling somebody who you get a chance to work with, like a junior person, that it's okay to speak to somebody, how you doing, that's going to stay with them for a long time. My thoughts are, and then when they become somebody who's a senior person, they have that tool, they have that ability to be able to do that also for the next line of generation of, younger generations. Not trying to age you, buddy, or anything, but somebody who's coming up, you know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
age and time are the only two things that are undefeated in life, buddy. I've started to come to terms with that, and learning that I can't do the things that I used to do when I was 21, 22, chasing bad guys and jumping over fences and chasing them, foot pursuits through the mall, foot pursuits through the fair. I mean, I can, but the recovery time to be able to get to that next call or take that next, incident or deal with the next stressor or whatever, takes my body a little bit longer to get back to that full mode and full range of motion, that kind of stuff. So I accept age is coming for me. I'm not going to win that one.
I promise it wasn't any way of trying to insult you at all. I know, like, I just hit
It's all good.
30 a couple years ago or whatever, right? As soon as I hit 30, or like a couple weeks before, the sugar that I would take in on just a daily basis really started to affect me, man. I'd wake up in the morning with like serious body issues. I was like, okay, this is a new thing in life, right? Obviously not the same situation going on, but as we go, we have to pivot. We have to adapt with whatever our body and whatever we're taking into our lives shows us, right? So,
Sure.
you talked about chatting with some folks about some of the past experiences that you've basically gone through, you've lived with, you've experienced. Something I would love to touch base on is, you said basically that you used to bottle it up and maybe try and drown it away from time to time, right? Let's talk maybe a little bit more about that. Maybe if you're comfortable, what are some of your experiences? You don't have to get into detail with how that kind of went. And then let's talk about the other side of where you're at now, because I think that's extremely powerful. It's an extremely big leadership trait for whoever's going to be listening to this too. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The bottling up thing I learned is, well, it's a coping mechanism, not a healthy one,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
but it's there, and it's something that I learned on two levels. So I learned it through the treatments through PTSD, that it got me through whatever traumatic event that I was dealing with at the time, and the survival mechanism you get out of it, and the adaptability to a really extremely, like, someone pulls a knife on you and you don't deal with the after effects for years.
Yeah.
you don't realize that how much the triggers start to affect you in future daily events. It could be at home. You see a similar, because statistically within the city of Prince Albert, 9 times out of 10 it's a kitchen knife used to stab somebody. So we all have probably a version of the kitchen knife that you saw that was pulled, or you saw someone get stabbed with, or the list goes on. So you see that kitchen knife, and then all of a sudden you withdraw, you get defensive, you get angry, you get mad, you start panicking, your breath gets shorter, your body starts to get uncontrollable, you start clenching your mouth and your teeth and your arms and your fists, and before you know it, the next comment that anybody makes, it could be completely unrelated to whatever's happening, you explode on that person, and you just unleash all the things you bottled up, all the things you were carrying, all the negative energy, all of the things you used to survive that moment just gets unleashed in an unnecessary moment after the fact. So for the bottling them up purposes, I use that one as an example because it's a clear example. But the other examples would be like a car accident, and you see it, and then in driving, you see somebody doing something similar to that led up to that accident where you had to see what you saw, and it just, again, while you're driving, it starts to affect you. You start to get road rage, and you start to get anxiety, and your body starts tensing up, and to the point you're pulled over on the side of the road and you still don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Till you get that bottled up energy out, expressed somewhere, write it down, and anything that you can deal with. So the bottling out portion, I was really, really good at that. I learned how to get it out is where I was really lacking, and where to put it, how to decipher it, and what to do with all of these events that I was able to. And here's the scary part that really, really, really bothered me for a long time. I was the calmest presence at all of these traumatic calls, all of these extremely violent events.
Yeah.
The way we're talking is the way that I'd be talking to the bad guy, the way I'd be talking to my fellow officers, the way I'd be talking to try and give orders at a call as the senior person, or whatever. Even just trying to get the information from the victim who you know is going to die, and you give them their dying declaration, and you're still talking to them the way we're talking.
Yeah.
What I learned is there's a cost to being that calm in that volatile situation. And the cost is, if you don't find a way to decipher and unravel that after the fact, it's going to eat you. It's going to get you. It's a ticking time bomb, and you don't know who is going to light that fuse. You have no idea who's going to be waiting at the other side of that.
Yeah. I know, when I go to a lot of schools, man, I talk about built-up pressure inside of us. And I always share an analogy of, if you have a pop can and you shake it before it's actually cracked, right? What's that pressure going to do when you do pop it? It's going to pop and explode everywhere, right? I mean, that's a pretty much an analogy across the board everyone could understand. And you're talking exactly about that, right? So, and unfortunately, you can't control, like you said, that direction where it goes. It could be work-wise, family-wise, friend-wise, also yourself-wise, right? Like all these different things that it could explode, and you don't have that capability because the pressure is so strong, so intense at this moment that you're trying to, self-regulate, but it's overflowing. It's, and the pressure is so much, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I'll get into further bottling it up with, I mentioned earlier the perfect storm of events that led up to that whole thing in April. The bottling up portion, that of course I know now what led up to me taking the steps in an unhealthy nature that I took. So bottling it up, I had the anniversary of my deceased brother who was murdered in 2015. That was February 21st of 2015. So in April, we had that. Now, in 2021, mix in the person who murdered my brother was up for her first application at day parole. So she was serving her federal sentence for the conviction of manslaughter, and she was up for a parole hearing the week before, leading up to my incident with alcohol. And we had that, and I had been back and forth about my internal feelings around the whole incident. And that's a whole other issue that I could probably dive into, and we could probably talk for hours about. But I'll give you the meat and potatoes of being a police officer. You have an expectation with the justice system. You have faith in it. You have this strong belief in helping people better themselves through the justice system, rehabilitate themselves to become a contributing member of society. You have that strong belief within you, or you couldn't do what we do on the daily.
Yeah.
Right? So taking it into the hearing, the parole board hearing, I was back and forth about offering another victim impact statement, because the first one that was read in court at her sentencing, I felt like it didn't have any weight, even though it took me months to write that statement and to put my emotion of how that event, where it took me. So leading up to April 7th, 16th, the hearing was in the first week of April. She was granted her day parole. Something in me broke during that time, and I couldn't explain it at the time. I couldn't understand or fathom, but it internalized that whole bottling up experience. It took it to a deeper level I didn't understand or couldn't even fathom existed.
Yeah.
To go to a numb place that I couldn't even break myself out of. I couldn't have emotion or reaction to anything. I couldn't feel. I couldn't do anything. Now the bottling up portion, my biological father, had passed away in 2020, so the anniversary of his death was in February 29th actually, because it was a leap year. That had come and passed. The family dynamic on that side of my family, we were kind of not doing real good, and being one of the older siblings, having an expectation to be involved and control things and have everybody else's emotions in check and making sure everyone's looked after, I carried that, and it was hard to handle.
Yep.
And then my stepdad, who came into my life at age 4, 5, and basically he took the role of dad for the last 29, 32 years of my life, before he passed in 2020 as well. So the anniversary of his death is in April 26th of 2021, the very first anniversary. So you take this perfect storm of how much you can carry and how much you can bottle up and how much you can actually carry before something breaks and something within you. Where does it go? With your analogy, the shake and pop can, that thing has been shaken and shaken and shaken and shaken before the pressure finally had anywhere to go. Right?
Yeah.
So I learned that I was bottling all of that up with no word to express it and nowhere to put it and no way to understand how to do it in a healthy way that didn't involve alcohol, that didn't involve doing stupid things, that didn't involve jeopardizing my job, that didn't involve jeopardizing my own family ties, jeopardizing my relationship that I was in. It was fairly new at the time. All of those things, all of the things that you can't really understand at the time. I now know that properly going through unraveling one of those would have taken some work and some really deep diving and treatments, help. That's one of the biggest things I've learned through any of the treatments, is that you as strong as you are, as versed as you are, as many books as you think you can read on your own, as many things as you can Google or YouTube or TikTok now, I guess, and look to online for the answers, you can't do it alone. You definitely need that counseling therapist, psychologist for treatments. And the longest time it was hard for me to find the humility to say I need help.
Which is really one of the most strongest things a human being can say in this world. One of the most strongest things. For sure.
I know that now. you carry it,
And I'm saying, as that as well too, like I didn't not know that back in the day too, because I was in the same boat, I used to pretend like I knew everything. I don't need help. And the analogy of the soda can, right? It pops, or sorry, it builds up the pressure for so long until there's no other way out besides blowing, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
now part of your life is now walking the sobriety life, right? Walking the sober life.
Mm.
Yeah. Would you like to chime in on that a little bit, Darcy?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So leading up to that incident, April 16th, that was the night of my last drink. April 16th, 2021 was the last night that I had consumed any alcohol. I mean, obviously I don't do drugs. I mean, it's accepted now that as a treatment for PTSD and anything else was the marijuana gummies and marijuana treatments with, like, you know, whatever helps you unravel that. I personally, I mean, I tried it as a kid in my youth and my teenage years. I just didn't like it, and still in adulthood, couldn't allow that level of not control of my thoughts take over. So so weed was never a thing, but alcohol was. When I started the process, I have to be completely honest, it was never to quit drinking. I wanted to. I made a decision early on, and made this decision early with my now wife, Kayla.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack. There's going to be demons and skeletons in this very large closet of mine that I can't comprehend and do alone. I won't be able to do it alone. Meaning, if you want to get into this, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And my advice to anybody who starts the journey of sobriety, don't do it. Don't aim for sobriety, because I feel like you'll miss every time. If your aim and end goal is, well, I'm going to be sober for the rest of my life now, well, then all of the little things that used to remind you of why you like to drink become magnified by like 10 or 20 times the size of going, I'm missing out on my buddy's fun. I'm missing out on his wedding now. I can't have as much fun. Or I'm missing out on my golf trip. Or I'm missing out on, you know, the boys' 24-hour break trip and the football party and the Super Bowl. And you know, so it was never my intention at the beginning stages to say, well, I'm going to be sober now for the rest of my life. It was I'm probably going to get emotional and swear with the next part of this.
That's okay with me, brother. I promise you that.
Alcohol has taken so many fucking people out of my life, with regards to whether it's death by suicide or death by the event that they're taking part in.
Yeah.
Both my dads, like my biological, my stepdad, it affected them. Like my biological dad was cancer, but he couldn't stop drinking enough for the treatments to work.
Yeah.
So that took his life. My stepdad, alcoholism and pain pills, they just eventually got him. And he just, after a night of drinking, he fell asleep and didn't wake up. So when my choice came to be, fuck alcohol.
Yeah.
What has it actually fucking done for me in regards to anything good, in regards to anything progress-wise, in regards to the journey forward of making the choices you made early as a child, a little Indigenous child growing up in PA. The statistics against you succeeding alone were insurmountable. They're high. You're expected to be in jail or dead by the time you reach adulthood.
Yeah.
You're expected to have a lengthy criminal record if you do actually succeed in anything. You're expected to not make it in any way, shape, or form unless you're corrupt by whoever's already in power, by whoever wants to, you know. So all of those stereotypes to me, in and around, surrounded the power of what alcohol control had on all of the Indigenous communities that I was a part of.
Yeah.
And all of the stereotypes. So I said, fuck alcohol. I don't need it. What do I need it for?
Yeah.
If I need it in a situation going forward, and it's something that I don't really want to be a part of, then why am I taking part?
Yeah.
So it started with the small messaging. No, go ahead, sir.
No, I love that. I remember when you first were getting into few weeks into it, I do believe. We were at a fellow officer, of yours, his wedding with his wife at that, of course, that day. And you told me you were, I think, 3 months sober at that time. I was like, right on, Darcy. That's cool, man. But I just wanted to share that story. I just remember you telling me when it first started. I was pumped for you. I was excited for you, man.
Yeah, and so further into it, I started to realize there was more on the other side of waking up not hungover than there ever was from the night out before. So I started documenting for myself the feelings of, okay, I did this, that wedding, I did that wedding sober that night. How easily it would have been to just have a drink and whatever, and then let loose and unleash and whatever. Could it have been okay? Probably. But I woke up and I didn't have a headache. I wasn't, severely thirsty. I don't have parts of my night that I don't remember. I don't, there's not an embarrassing story about me jumping up on the stage and taking my shirt off or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, just as an example. But the rewards on the other side of not waking up hungover or having to deal with the aftermath of what you did that night, I found that, and just started to build on that momentum. I started to just take it and go with it with regards to every opportunity to be a part of something that could only be accounted to. I have the sobriety mindset to find a way to succeed in this. So the association work is one of them currently right now today. The give back there. I'm also a part of my home community, Muscatay's Justice Committee. I sit on that committee, and the sobriety portion, I think, feels like it plays a very large role in being able to give back, because how can you be part of the solution if you're still contributing to the problem? Is part of the messaging that I'm hanging on to. If you can't lead by example in your own sobriety, then how can you ask people who are struggling with it to do that? How can you ask them realistically and lead them through it if you yourself can't take that on and find some way to deal with it and be successful in it?
Yeah.
So being stuck in why I was drinking had a lot of layers. It took a lot of treatments. It took a lot of psychologist appointments. I still have a counselor that I see bi-weekly.
Awesome.
And unraveling a lot of that has actually been, I've actually found a way to make it fun. As
cool.
As twisted as that sounds.
It's not twisted to me, man. I like that. That's good, man. That's good. Well, the truth is, if you go there just feeling every single time like, okay, we're going to unravel a lot of stuff here today, it's a big part of it for sure. But you have to find that joy that you get from it, the reward, because, moving away from pain is a very good motivator, but also going towards, joy, happiness. It's a very good, strong motivator as well, too. Now, they both are powerful within themselves, but having both of them together, finding ways to look at things with having both of those motivators, you're even much stronger moving forward, right? And, I do love that you shared, man, you didn't look right out the gate, I'm going to be sober and this is it, because the truth is, I've been a person that had to recover myself from alcohol and hard drugs, and I wasn't a person to be able to let go of everything like that. I was like, it's got to be this goes, and then eventually over the years of trying to eliminate stuff that you need to eliminate, it was at the end where I'm at now. It's everything. I lived the sobriety journey too, and I'm thankful for that. But it had to start with the hard drugs first, for sure, for me, for a few years ago. And then alcohol became once a weekend, once a year. And then it became, okay, now it's no weekends a year. And that's the path that I need to walk. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because everyone, all the recovery stories I know out there from people getting away from substances, it's not very often that people share with, somebody that they didn't have a slip here and there and stuff like that. I mean, it happens, right, where people just make that decision and it's just moving forward. But even from speaking from personal experience, you know, I wasn't a person that can say that. Like the day I made it up in my mind, you know, it was gone. So like we have to step towards the right direction, and we might stumble, we might fall here and there, but it's about getting back up and moving in that same direction that we want for our family's life, you know, our fellow, you know, people who have on a day-to-day basis, whether it's coworkers, staff, whatever it is, you know, even the community that we are a part of, because, you know, we have some lineage, both of us, as well towards Muscadet too, you know, and so
For sure,
as well Prince Albert too. So, but coming, you know, being brought up, being around addictions, it normalizes it for you, and I understand that. And sometimes you have to say to yourself that I'm gonna break this barrier that is in our circles, and it's one of the hardest things a person can do. And but there's a lot of beauty on the other side of it, because once somebody sees somebody breaking a barrier, breaking that cycle, it lets other people know it's possible too. Yeah,
for sure, buddy.
so may I ask, how long have you been on that sobriety train now for?
Well, April 16th will be 5 years. And you mentioned the slip ups. I can honestly say I haven't had a single slip up. Every time that I've gotten down into the dumps where it feels like this is going to probably lead me down the road where I'm probably, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I've taken the step prior to even putting myself in a position where I want to feel tempted.
Yeah.
I ask myself realistically, and I say it out loud, and for me, that's the part of the treatments that I think I overthought in the past. Whenever I would seek treatment for, you know, my brother's thing in 2015, I did a lot of counseling then.
Yeah.
But I dismissed it back then for obvious reasons. I wasn't ready to deal with my brother's murder on a lot of levels. But the thing I said the most in putting myself in situations where I might slip or I might fall or I might dive down was, it's the person's reason to drink. You don't need to interject, you don't need to project, and you don't need to accept their projections with regards to why they're making the choice.
Yeah.
And where a lot of strength came from that was actually a lot of close buddies. They did, at the beginning, they stopped inviting me to things, which I understood. I completely understand. But I broke it down to them after the fact of like, I want you to understand, this is my choice to not drink, not yours. Yeah, and I'm not there to judge you for your choice to drink. I'm not there to judge you for your choice to indulge in whatever you want to indulge in, man. Like, I can still come partake in like the golf tournament or the golf trip and do it completely sober. I could still partake in the Super Bowl party and drink my Diet Pepsi or Pepsi Zero in the corner and have my, you know, my nachos and cheese and eat the wings and still talk shit about football in the corner with my buddy. I don't need to drink. You guys can do whatever you want, and when I know the volume gets turned up and I know it's, you know, shit's about to get sideways, that's usually my cue to exit. I'm like, yep, I've heard this story 3 times in a row. I think I better go now. It's been fun, boys. Have a good night. Later, I'm out. And then I usually leave. And then, you know, it removes that barrier of awkwardness where I feel like I have to partake now, or
fair
the
enough.
expectation where they start talking shit about me or, you know, my choices, or poking fun at, oh, look at the sober boy in the corner, you know, he used to do this, he used to do that, and all that stuff. So being able to take it and face it on head on for me was actually part of the beauty in continuing my process with sobriety, because I don't do it necessarily just to say I did it.
Yeah.
I see it in the eyes of my children now, my 2 older children, because I had kids old when I was younger. I was 19 when I found out my first daughter. We were having my first daughter.
Yeah.
Who's now about to be 23 years old. You want to make a guy feel old? Try having a 23-year-old daughter.
I'm not there yet, buddy.
So when I see it in their eyes, they are part of the process where I was struggling. Both of them. Like, I have a 23 and a 20-year-old daughter. hashing out the injuries that they sustained while I was going through the hardest times of my life, sitting down with them as adults now and deciphering what we went through together, what we
Yeah.
struggled through together. To me, that just affirms the choice that I make. Every time that I choose not to drink, it's like, I don't think I would have been able to repair those relationships or those psychological and emotional injuries that we sustained together or did to each other. Like,
Yeah.
owning up to a lot of the injuries you made everybody feel that you caused
Yeah.
was another part of the beauty part of sobriety for me, is owning up to them, accepting responsibility, taking accountability, and saying, yep, I fucking did that and I'm fucking
Yeah.
sorry. I do want to unravel that.
Which is extremely powerful, man. And once again, shows great leadership for your kids. They've seen you in different sides of aspects of things moving on. I do want to rephrase that. You know, I know a lot of people that said, you know, drugs and alcohol need to be out of their life and never slipped up. I need to rephrase that. You know, myself personally experienced when I was trying to get away from hard drugs, I found myself once in a while falling in the same circles, going into the same thing. So, you know, that's a big experience on my own personal side. So I wanted to rephrase that and make sure that, you know, but, you know, one of the things that I couldn't agree with you more now is having kids when you've walked those journeys yourself with addictions and alcohol and stuff like that. Because I know that was one of the biggest deciding factors for myself to want to be completely sober, like no, you know, alcohol and, you know, even once a year kind of thing. Just seeing your eyes of your kids, knowing that they have the DNA that you have, right? And I just told myself, they have my DNA. I need to do something similar, like, you know, lead by example. I want my kids to, you know, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever as ages go, I want them to see that dad stays away from it because he knows maybe it's not the best for us or him, you know. And I'm happy about that. I'm thankful for that because, you know, maybe they carry on some traditions like that too. Our kids, they get to see maybe some of the things that we've walked before them, and we can teach them from firsthand experience from, you know, the way we lead our lives, which is one of the most powerful things we can do for our kids coming after us, of course, I think. So like, you know, waking up in the morning on a Saturday or a Sunday, not being sick, not being hungover, not spending your wallet at the bar, you know, $200, $300 on drinks and shots and stuff like that. It's a absolute great part about sobriety moving forward. But what would you say is one of your favorite parts about sobriety?
Well, I think one of the probably best parts about sobriety is being able to say that I did it, that I'm doing it. And
Okay.
it isn't like a bragging point, but it's like a humility and humbling point of I think back to some of the things that I've heard in the past of like, if you could only walk a mile in my shoes, you'd understand the amount of pain that I had to sustain to get here.
Yeah.
It resonates with the journey with sobriety, and my favorite part about it is I can wear that with honor. I can wear that with the amount of compassion that I have for now being able to see it on the other side in my daily job of a police officer. It offers that a level of compassion and empathy that I might not have had in the past if I was probably still partaking in drinking and not being able to unravel how much it actually means to me. So the beauty in it is on that level. It offers me being the best version of myself and working towards the best version of myself for my kids and my family today. It offers to lead by example for my siblings on both sides of my family. And I mean, I think everybody has siblings that could serve to learn from an example like this. So maybe just not my own siblings, but anybody struggling out there.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit, that guy grew up in PA. Holy shit, that guy grew up in Muscadet. Come on.
Yeah.
And he's doing all this. Like, he has a career. He has his own home. He has his kids. He has, you know, he gives his voice to Muscadet for free, basically, by sitting on this committee and offering all his policing experience to make sure that the community feels safe. And like, they may not see it that way right off the bat, but I'm hoping the messaging gets home on some level. So the favorite part of sobriety probably has to be the amount of um, doors it's opened up in opportunities. Like I said before, with even being able to speak to you in this context, being able to sit on my association as the president now, I don't think could have happened if I wasn't sober. And being able to sit with PTSD survivors in some of the circles that I talk in and some of the things that I take part in on the policing level, and being able to lead by example even in those worlds. Like,
Yeah.
it's still so taboo, it's still so hard to talk about with rooms full of cops. Like, I attend a Western Wage conference for where all police association leaders meet and discuss like the hot topics, like what does your next contract look like, what do your negotiations look like, what does your mental health strategies look like, how are you dealing with recruitment and retention, you know, all of the hot topics that would have associations busy on the daily. And so you have the side topics and conversations you have, and listening to like, well, the mental health strategies like in bigger centers, it's like, well, holy shit, our little small town PA could definitely serve to use from that. I never would have been able to be a part of those circles if I was stuck in addiction, stuck in alcohol, stuck in not having to know what it looks like on the other side. So
Yeah.
the opportunities, the opportunity to unravel and take humility for myself and unwrapping self-worth has been probably the most adventurous part of treating what is left, because my PTSD, I learned through the treatments, is wrapped in my childhood trauma and intergenerational trauma from being raised in a not really good childhood home. So having the PTSD psychologist take me to a certain point in treatment, saying, I can only take you this far, the rest has to be with a childhood therapist.
Yeah.
Anything to do with intergenerational trauma, you have to seek that out for yourself. WCB will pay for it, blah blah blah. But he took me as far as he could, and even he kind of crept the line a little bit and helped me understand, so I could explain it to the next therapist. I would never have even fathomed how deep something like self-worth actually hits if I couldn't find sobriety or find the passion for it and find the compassion for myself in it. So all of these opportunities are only available on the other side of sobriety for me.
Powerful, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. That's one of the things I learned a great deal over the years of just being able to do what I get to do, have conversations with other folks like yourself, just even when I go speak somewhere. One of the biggest things that I've came to realize is that people watch from afar often, whether or not you know it or not. And so one of the things that pops in my head immediately is the folks who can resonate with you, maybe, relate with you, the ones who kind of got brought up in different situations, maybe on reserves, maybe in an urban area like Prince Albert, or, fellow officers from wherever, people who've walked with PTSD from whatever, they might not be able to chime in from watching this video or hearing you share some of these pieces of wisdom. But I, from the bottom of my heart, know for a fact that this is going to reach a lot of people, in the fact that they're going to grab some piece of information. They're going to resonate with it. They're going to think about it, and it's going to hit home for them for what they need moving forward. Now, exactly to what detail, to how far that goes, we may never know. That's a tough secret to know. But I think you've shared a lot of good nuggets of knowledge, and a lot of people are going to benefit from that. So I want to thank you for that, Darcy. But for someone who is struggling with substances at any age in life, what would be a piece of advice you'd like to give them to maybe help them reach towards the other side?
Well, I think I would revert back to, I think it's a humbling experience to be able to sit with and understand that you don't know what you don't know to start with. And if you could start understanding or even asking questions from the light of understanding. You don't know a lot of how you even got addicted to what you're addicted to. And to know that, to start understanding from your own perspectives, you don't have to have it all figured out at once. You don't have to have it all figured out on the first day that you're making the decision to say, this is a problem. I have a problem. This I'm struggling with this. And the other portion that I really want to express to anybody at any age that's struggling is embrace that struggle.
Yeah.
Embrace it in any attempt to remedy the part of your substance abuse, whatever it is, whether it's drugs, whether it's pills, whether it's, you know, any of the hard drugs, the soft drugs, and anything out there substance-wise that affects your ability to feel emotions. Because I feel like with all the research out there, being addicted to something is the symptom to something larger, with regards to whether it's a traumatic event or something that happened to you abuse-wise, whether it's, you know, sexual, emotional, physical, throughout your childhood, whatever.
Yeah.
You didn't get there in one day. You didn't get there in 1 week. You didn't get there in 1 month. You didn't get there in 1 year. So it's going to take you at least that to unravel the perfect storm, your own perfect storm, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. And the thing that got me through the struggle, I'll share this right now. I don't know if you can see it. There's probably a bit of a glare. It's a picture of me and my brother.
I think I've seen that one, to be honest.
My sister took it in our mom's truck, and this is actually one of my wife took the time to take his last birthday card that he gave to me, and make it life-size, his handwriting and his signature into a caricature picture like that.
Oh, that's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful,
man. One of the things that he shared always said is life is a beautiful struggle. And I've taken that and utilized it in a lot of my dark times, a lot of my struggles, a lot of my anything to do with having to get through an event.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. It's a beautiful struggle. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
And when you sit back after the event and you take the time to write about it, to read about it, to learn about it, it starts to become this beautiful event that you can actually share, that you can talk about, that you can laugh about now, you can make a joke about it, you can make light of it, you can, you know, find the beauty in it and be able to get through it. And where he got it from, I had to do some research after he passed, was there's a rap group, Swollen Members, they're called. And at the beginning of the song, Brand New Day, there's a little girl that says that. She just says, life is a beautiful struggle. And it's the cutest little voice and words ever. The first time that I actually seen where my sister and I did some research into some of his, because we got his phone after he died, and some of the videos popped up and some of the things and stuff. But when I hear that and when I think of, you know, get to a dark place or get to a dark time for the people who are struggling, you won't know it at the time. You won't be able to see it when you're going through it. But you will learn to find the beauty through it because of the struggle. You can't have the good without the bad. You can't have the dark without the light. It will come to an end. And there's so much beautiful in it when you're through it. Yeah. But you won't know that till you get through it. So just hang on to that hope that it will get better. So the substance abuse part is it's a tough one, man. It's good. It has a grasp on our province right now and all of our Indigenous communities right now that it's hard to fathom right now.
It is. Well, I do love that that piece of wisdom also that you shared, man. Just hold on, have some hope. It took me a while to kind of flip the script in my head when I used to have things would come up in business, personal life, family life, whatever it was. Now I look at it as like, what can I learn from this? What can I grab from this? What, you know, me going through these motions in life that are hurting me, almost breaking me down, almost sometimes making me not want to get up in the morning, you know, whatever it is in my world at times. And that's how I kind of get past those moments, man, is I look for that, like, what is this teaching me? What am I grabbing after this? You know, why is this happening? And when you start trying to grab the piece of information, the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience, the strength from, you know, these moments in life, they make you become who you're going to be next. And you're able to be stronger for whatever comes down the pipeline next as well too. And you're that much more capable of living the best possible life that you deserve, and that you're able and you're capable of moving forward for you, your family, your coworkers, whoever you get to work with in the community. And that's a very powerful statement, man. Very powerful way to kind of start wrapping up. There's another question I wanted to ask you. We were just chatting here about, so you have a quote that you want to, that a piece of advice or a piece of quote that you want to share with people kind of as we start wrapping up. What would that be?
Well, it's one that I carry. I actually carry it on me. I got it tattooed onto my chest.
Cool.
I didn't get it tattooed until I was in my very first weight loss journey, and I told myself that I would get it tattooed on my body if I could lose 50 pounds. And I was pushing 400 pounds at my heaviest when I was going through the battles of mental health back then. And we're talking 2008, 2009, 2010. Like I ended up in the hospital with heart problems. I was so heavy and so congested, and so back in 2008. So I told myself and made myself a promise early that I would get this quote tattooed on my body if I could lose 50 pounds. At the time, I didn't understand the journey, I didn't understand the process, but I hung on to these words, and it got me through a lot of grueling workouts, a lot of grueling runs, and it's very simple, very simple. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. And I've kind of broke that down to persistence and determination are omnipotent to the point that it's I'll even show you if you want.
Sure. I like it. The big bear paw.
Bear paw. It represented like ripping back the flesh, and then it just says persistence and determination right there. So where that came from, and I think we were kind of talking about it before we started recording, was it was my high school coach.
Yeah.
Back in Carleton days. He used to say it, and he used to yell it at us when we were running like sprints. We were doing lines where we have to, it was basically a bag practice where we lost the game and we were getting yelled at. And he used to yell it at us every time we were ready to give up. It looked like the group was ready to give up. And persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. And for the longest time, I didn't understand the power in it. I didn't understand what it meant until I started really understanding my struggles. And I started actually breaking it down. Okay, if I'm persistent in something and I put my determination into it, I don't think I can fail at anything. I think if I just put those two things alone, you can persistent and determine your way through mistakes. You can apply persistence and determination through fucking up a situation and then learning from it, and then going back to the table and doing it again.
Yeah.
But this time learning from your mistakes. So every time I went through it, whether it was a divorce, whether it was a shitty file, whether it was, a fight with your parents or your siblings, persistence and determination. Okay, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to do to make this better? How do I get through it? But it was to the point that through this last mental health battle with PTSD, I actually had to Google, where the fuck did my high school coach get that from? Because I know he didn't just pull that out of his ass. Shout out to Randy Emerson. Actually, it was Randy Emerson. He's a pretty avid community member now. I think I don't know if he's retired now, but I think he's still involved in the Sass River School Division. I think he's still higher up there. Shout out to him if he sees this. But it stuck with me throughout my whole life, and I appreciate where you got it from. But I'll read you the entire quote. Okay, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure, buddy. For sure.
Let me just make it so I can read it. Okay. So it starts with, it says, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than an unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Quote, Calvin Coolidge. And I guess he was a previous president of the United States, so shout out to you, Randy, for finding that and planting that seed of growth into me back in 1998. It would have been getting ran my balls off in high school, and everything that came after that. It served its purpose, and it got me through a lot of shitty times in my life of just knowing, okay, if I just apply persistence and determination, I can get through this. I can survive this. So, knowing now what I know about it, it's a pretty cool quote. It's pretty awesome to me.
Well, I love that, man, and I think that's one of the best ways to kind of wrap things up if you feel confident with that. What do you feel?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I love that because, you know, a lot of people are going to listen to this, you know, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's a month from now, whether it's a year from now, right? Unless, like, you know, you come to me and say, I want this taken off for whatever reason, which I wouldn't see why, because there's a lot of beautiful knowledge that you shared with us, and we had a great conversation together today. But, you know, somebody down the line can hear that quote and hear where you got that from and like what it means to you. And man, that could be their nugget of knowledge for them moving forward for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. And that's incredible, right? Positive energy, negative energy, they both can very well be contagious, right? It's up to us what kind of energy we want to put out in the world, what kind of legacy we want to leave behind, what kind of powers that we want to share with others. And that's a lot of power. And somebody very well could possibly hear that quote and hear how you said it and hear what it means and just grab it and run with it for the rest of their lives. And that's truly one of the main reasons why I want to start this podcast, is have some cool folks, have some cool conversations. Maybe me and you don't always get to chat, but, you know, having this conversation is kind of good to, you know, to touch base and be able to share some education, share some knowledge, share some whatever good energy in the world with whoever's going to listen to it. And that's exactly why this podcast started. So it's been a privilege, an honor to get to chat with you. I want to commend you for truly just being real, being authentic, being honest with everything. I think you lead by example in many aspects in your life, and whether or not somebody's going to come up to you after this podcast is out there in the world, or somebody's going to send you a message or a phone call, I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this, and they're going to learn, and they're going to grow, and they're going to move forward with their lives moving forward, which is an incredible gift that you offered people. So, Darcy, my brother, I appreciate you. Thank you for everything. I thank you for just being who you are, man, and showing up today, and it was great catching up with you.
I appreciate it, man. I thank you, and I'm truly honored to be a guest on your podcast, man. And watching and learning and watching you grow throughout the years, man. It's been an absolute blessing and honor to be a part of the process along the way. As little as our conversations have gone, I do appreciate you dragging me back into it, full circle after the fact. It's been really, really, really good, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, right back at you, man. And the funny thing is, we talked about this a while ago, but it took us a minute to get here. But hey, you know, things come around full circle and when they're meant to, and that I think it's meant to, of course, as today. So thank you again, Darcy. It's been a privilege. And for those who are going to be listening, for those who are going to be able to hear these conversations between me and Darcy, whether it's on Spotify, YouTube, wherever it is, try and give some love wherever you can, whether it's a comment on YouTube, whether it's, you know, the Facebook post. If you give it a listen, share some feedback with Darcy saying thank you for him just being willing and open to share some of the stuff that he shared with us today. Thank you, everyone, for who's going to get a chance to take a few minutes out of your time to listen to this. So once you believe you have the ability and capacity to do great things, that's when I truly believe life can become limitless. Thank you, everybody.